Hello and welcome as it is Wednesday, the 17th day of July 2019. My name is Derek and this is the Money Charts channel. Where, like always, all bets, trades of the like within each his own risk and their own reward. Silver in at $20.66 Canadian. Back to levels seen on March the 27th. Close to 4-month highs. $15.80 on the American US dollar side. Levels not seen since February the 20th, a little 1 month earlier. Almost 5 months since that point. And from this move in here, this rally at the start of the summer, price action correcting successfully within the 18 exitation of the 18 average occurred and has broken this level of resistance with what has been a satisfactory leg higher. It comes down to the monthly chart as far as, okay, are we having exitation here? If so, it would be the last time or the first last time it had it was April 1st, 2016. The time before then, in a bear market, would have been July 2003. Gold has already had exitation of the 18 average, and this is the fourth one. Even was one attempted it on February 2016. It attempted it here briefly on the 17th here, and then it attempted it here again, and I guess it even attempted it here. But now it has done just that very well, getting above this level of resistance. As mentioned, silver's up well on the daily chart. Gold over the last couple days hanging in there, but gold has been the star of the show, obviously, as we can see within its weekly chart on the ratio. This move on silver is really just giving back some of the overperformance that gold has been enduring so far here in 2019. And on to Bitcoin, in at 9,600 US dollars, as it is at levels here. We've reached levels not seen going back to June the 19th. That's almost 1 month, as that's when it was lifting off, breaking above into the 9,000-ish range area. Before then, the last time we ever even seen the 10,000 area took us back to March of 2018. And within it, we've had a little bit of a correctionary move. Is this rolling over, or are we going into bear market territory? Question is maybe. I don't know. We'll find out. And what we need, of course, is the shorter term time frames to really stop the bleeding, as one way of putting it. Now, in the 3 hour time frame, there's a little bit of optimism, but it's got a long ways to go within the 18 because it still has to test it again. We can see in here it failed. We can see it failed in here ever since this top. But you have a decent sized red candle that breaks down below this level of support at 92.40. And then it goes and gets it all back like that. That's an interesting scenario. Single hour term. Do we see anything of the possibility that this thing might be ready to go or bottoming? Nothing for the bottoming aspect, at least not yet. But as far as attempting to get going on the short term, there we can see a few periods going down, the reversal on this green one, and how has it been following there after the fact? Well, it has done so by staying within this, staying within the 18, now trying to leave the 18 average of highs, of course, to the upside. And on the 15, there we can see a good couple of periods going up, a very good sideways movement. And now over the last 2-3 periods, having some phenomenal gains. Of course, when I say phenomenal, that's in this case 15-minute time frame. You're looking at really just a move up. Nothing phenomenal, really. It's a move up. And when we look at this on the weekly chart, this is week number 3 now since the high of 13,880 via that of the Bitstamp chart, and 3 periods down to the lows, 18 highs rather. So we've had an uptrend. It's just a whatever kind of correctionary move so far. The 18 average of lows comes in at 7,900 on the weekly chart. If it were to test that number would go down, but only by a little bit. Reason for that is because it takes the numbers mathematically, and it takes the current low and it multiplies it by 18. and then the previous low by 17, and so on. So the number right now it will be multiplying by such is 9,050. So obviously, if it's going to come down to 8,000, it's going to multiply it by 8,000 instead of that. And if that's a bit difference of 1,000 basis points, that's 1,000 times 18 is 18,000. Let's divide that by 156. I know it sounds like I think I might be carrying the one off. It looks like $11. It would bring it down. If it were to go to 8,000, this would go to like 18 lows would go to like 78.90 or something. Either way, the market is in this uptrend as far as the weekly chart, monthly chart, trying to find direction. It's momentum switching to the upside. It had this amazing run and continuation breaking above. To me, it's a no doubter that this would be regaining into bull market territory with the probability odds of breaking this in the near term, this being close to 20k, very high. But as it stands right now, a little bit of pausing as the high right now is lower than the previous one, the low is higher. So right now it's an inside month with 2 weeks to go. 18 average of highs in here comes in at 7,871, which would coincide with the 18 average of lows on the weekly chart, and the 18 average of lows is 5,350. For what it's worth, I'm going to be looking at, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing an 18 average of lows test, but I wouldn't mind the 18 average of lows at least rising into this previous congestion area, because I think as it comes long term, any type of deep correctionary moves, this is really as deep as I would want to see it go right now, despite all of this empty space, because of the attempt to break this correctionary move for it to succeed it becomes very vital to hold its correctionary move back. And in doing so, I think that key area would be that 6,000, especially because of how monstrous this level was in 2018 as its big support and congestion area. Now let's move on to altcoins. We'll go on to first with Theta, then we'll switch carry across to that of Litecoin. And Theta in at 1,113 Satoshi with one of those lines. That was a two-hit move last night, going to 1,400 twice. Did a lot of this last night. 2 videos on this. As a lot of this worked into that of day trading it a little bit, not really. Well, trading it, yeah, definitely. So here we have it. We have a bunch of these candles. What's the volatility of it like? Well, that's what it looked like before the event. But we can see the size of the progressing periods up until, well, definitely on this nice one here at 8 o'clock, but the ones that preceded it, nice pause one last one. It's 10:13 a.m., so this is almost a quarter of the way through. Not really much going on at all within its volatility. But what it is doing on chart analysis is it's having this correctionary mode, and it's obviously came back down to the 18. Now, really, it's kind of deceiving to say that the 18 average of highs, that this is well above the 18 average of highs when it was at 1170, because of how the highs were established. And there they are right there. So really, these were the highs in here. And amongst there were stable prices at 11,000 or 1,100 and change. Right now, of course, it's at 1109. It's gotten back up to 1137, and if it's able to break out above this on the short term here, this is what you see as far as good breakout patterns. You are having a correctionary mode back down, and then you have this big move. Well, how does it react after the fact? Well, it has 5 periods to come to the 18, or from where it lifts off from. Has an okay lift off, and it's come back down a bit again. Okay, well, if we're going to stay in and hold this, maybe we'd have a bit more deeper support. Maybe there's buyers coming in, and it's going to be happening soon. But regardless of those buyers are coming in, if I wait until it breaks, say 1142 or something of whatever nature, wait for them to participate. Especially if I can see rallies coming in on volume that is higher than these bars in here. If I can start to see some very good volume coming in on the breakout above, then you know what? I would give it a good candidacy to have a good leg higher, like over the next, like what would be like 3, 4 periods at that point. So in the 15, you'd be looking at, okay, the next hour or two could have some big gains, and well, oftentimes those gains, of course, will be manifested very, very fast. So we've had, take a look at the 1 minute, just quickly showing 758, 1059 up to 1130 change or so. That's a differential of like 70 basis points. That's about 7%. But a couple people, maybe one, I don't know, got really frisky with their buys. As we have this situation in here, we're priced at 22 hours, 24 minutes. Breaks out from this congestion area a little south of 1,000, and it breaks 14. Then again, and I was unfortunate enough to take advantage of it, but what I mentioned is there was a good chance I would not have anyway, because the high was 1390. And knowing me, 1390 what I would have put in? I would have done a hair below 1400, but very not much of a hair. So that's kind of, in a sense, reassuring because what happened was during this run, I noticed, oh, wait a second, what's going on? So I sold during these 4 candle up bars, and then I ran out of my theta on Binance, so I had to put more in. Didn't take long, of course. It only takes like a minute, minute and a half, from the point when you push the send button on your hardware wallet to the point where it's available to sell on Binance. So they were available for me here, but since this point on, like around in here, I have had a sell order a little south of 1390 the entire duration pretty much, and it's in there right now. Let's switch on to Litecoin now, and it's getting its ass kicked on the daily chart. Price action on June the 12th was at 0.017 change. Now it's 0.087 change. That's half off. And not that long of a time, really. June the 12th. Now we're July the 17th. That's about 5 weeks in time. 5.5 weeks, maybe. Markets are volatile, obviously, to say the least. And I'm going to expect that to continue on to be volatile moving forward. So what do you have for today's session? It's up, but I mean, okay, we're having another correctionary test within the 18, and at some point it's going to break it. But for now, last one was a little bit in here, grinding lower. Now it's at that area again, 18 average of highs on the Binance crosses in at 9558. The current high, or the lows is 8940. The high right now is 8950 for the day, so you can say 10 basis points on the 4-digit handle that it has pierced above it. What are we seeing on the short term? Well, okay. So you have this little move down to a bit below 8 yesterday at lunch. I was able to take advantage of a bit of it. Not much, but a little bit. So I was buying Litecoin mainly there. And now all of a sudden, after this move, what does it do after this 3 candle bar up move? Well, what an amazing sideways consolidation, because it extremely resists that level of about the 846 handle. And one of the things I've said before, and I'm showing it in picture view here, whenever you break a key level, don't be surprised if you have a big move. And well, it broke a key level, and it had a big move when you look at the size of these green candles in comparison to all the ones that preceded on this time frame. And 18 average starting to rise, and this is a little bit of a correction. That's just it, a little bit, because it hasn't touched this level here. But now the big thing is how is it going to hold and stay after this fact? It is very, 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 very important for this a route for the not having a leg lower to hold this area if there's going to be support. We've already seen that maybe we don't test down towards here, so can we get any short-term possibilities on it? Well, we're having an 18 test on the 15. It still needs to have excitation, and it still needs to break established resistance. And the 4-minute time frame, that's the one that's starting to roll over. In 5 minutes, you're pretty much around the same thing as it goes. But when these things are ready to go, they're going to have, I believe, fantastic breakouts. I'm going to finish this off on Litecoin by taking a look at this on the Poloniex exchange, because I want to take a look at the monthly chart, and they just have more data. and it's been a pierce below the 18. And as I've been stating, it's like, you know what? It's just common to do it. And at this stage, we might be going through a symmetrical pierce. And it's not like we haven't been doing that beforehand as it is anyway. This low to me doesn't count, but all of the other wicks do, including the height. I don't know, and I'm not going to count this, it's just too early anyway. So we have this low, we have this low, we have this low, we have this low, we have this low. Right now, we have that low. Every single one of these lows are in the exact same situation after excitation of the 18 lows. Albeit the one that ended in 2016 starting 2017 was way, way below. But it was just one leg lower from it. And among the highs, we have this one, which was technically lower than the previous one. A couple matching highs. This one was higher mathematically, but in my book, it's matching. Very, very noticeable pierce below on this, piercing above the 18 highs. At some point, this market is going to have to show some sort of trend or just keep it this way. If it stays choppy this way, this is a very good chart for my trading strategy when markets move in this kind of direction. Because in the lower end of prices, when they go down, you would buy on this and you would sell on the way up. And you can go through a lot of emotions doing stuff like this because if you imagine yourself as a trader in here, oh, even back in here, you're long Litecoin, and okay, it was worth 15 handle, and it falls to the 5. Wow, so it loses 3x. But oh yay, it's getting it back, and you're selling some, and you're profiting now. And then you're like, okay, you're holding it. No, you're not holding it. So this little move bought back the upper end of what you sold. And then you go through all of this, it's like month after month after month, this thing just will not go up. You have a down month on June of 2016. Then you have 3 side months throughout the entire summer, just, yeah, not doing anything. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months in a row. From October to February of that year, basically into March. Nothing but down. And we're looking at something you were like happy about a rally you were seeing in the summer of 2015. And at this stage, you'd be looking at almost 2 years later. And then you get all excited up here because the markets are so expensive. Your value as well. And of course, you're so basically should be selling. A little bit of a scare tactic move here, but what would you rather have as a trader, at least for myself? Would you rather go like this, then fall? Meaning it's not breaking down below 117 and going down in here. Or would you rather have a down move first and then go up? And obviously for me, it's that down move first. And now you get the motions. Oh, it's looking like it's breaking out. It's going to like the 160, 180 handle. It's lost half its value now. No, it sucks. You know what? The motions are going to be very bipolar, it sounds like. And being able to acknowledge them, control them. I have a lot of experience at it. I've kind of been forced into it when you do what they call being a rounder or playing poker. That is a must to be able to control bankroll management. Understanding the situations, the swings, the variances of this game. Variances are much different, of course, in crypto trading than they are in things like poker betting and sports gambling and other positive ROI ventures. And I say positive if you know how to play the game and you play it right. Because if you want to play this, if you're not playing it right, there's a lot of sharks out there that'll just destroy you. And you either have to learn how to swim and flourish with the sharks, or become one of the sharks. And there are several ways in playing this game correctly. There's so many different skill sets that can help you along the way. But I'm going to finish off by saying one of my favorite game theory motivation points or just strategies. Because and this reflects to like any game really. where there's skill in a competition level of a player versus player, team versus team kind of atmosphere. For yourself, understand your strengths and maximize them. What are you damn good at? And in this case, with crypto trading, what are you so good at that's in this section that's going to give you the best profits at? Do you notice when you try to trade this type of way, you struggle, and well, that doesn't look like your strengths. And of course, one of them is also work on strengthening your weaknesses, and that's one of the things as well. So you work towards strengthening your weaknesses, even strengthening your strengths, or getting better at what your strong suits at, but maximize what you're good at very well. And in situations where you are playing opponents, understand your opponent's weaknesses and strengths and do the best you possibly can to maximize their weaknesses, to exploit their weaknesses basically, and to minimize their strengths, which is protect, defend well against what they're damn good at. Thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great day. Bye bye.